Here are two realizations that I've had. One thing I was literally just thinking about, which is why I started audio recording. Now, this first thing is going to be obvious anyways. So, I was listening, or am listening to this, speech type thing about this lady talking about her marketing and SaaS or whatever. And, anywho, she said something about her having her company for 2.5 years, somehow getting up to 2.4 million. But the real point is, she said that she has 20 employees, and this makes me think more about the whole thing with the universal basic income and all the stuff that's going to go along with the B system. It's way easier for the serpent seed... Hold up. Dang, hold up. It's way easier for the serpent seed people at the top who already own everything anyways to hoard even more money when they won't employ anybody and they just have the robot demons doing all the work. Because now the people that already own, the 1% that already own majority of the world's wealth, it's just going to get worse. And I mean, one of the points of the beast system, especially when I think about Babylon eventually becoming worse than third world, in the eventual stock market crash, and how America/Babylon is going to come back from that. One of the things I think about with that is that, of course, when it comes to third world, that means there's an even bigger wealth gap. And so what that means is that obviously you're either really, really going to have something, or you're really, really, really not going to have anything. And most people really, really aren't going to have anything. And what point was I getting at with that? Or maybe that was it. When I think about the whole 20 employees and crap, I've even heard companies with less than that, especially when it's ran by the founders. That's a good way to hoard money if you own the business and you don't hire anybody. And if anything else does help you, it's an AI agent and a robot and whatever else, because you don't have to pay them, obviously. So I mean, yes, it's an easier way to hoard all the money from your business. I mean, as somebody who's always been an entrepreneur type stuff, that's something I've thought about all throughout my life. Doing something where I can just do it and not have to get anybody to help me do it. Because that can also cause a lot of other side issues. But anywho. And then another thing I've been thinking a lot about is that once Babylon falls, it also means that the Fortune 500 companies and stuff like that are going to fall. And then of course, a lot of things with trade agreements and I don't really know how to explain it, but a lot of things in the stock market revolve around the USD. So I mean, obviously when that falls, that's going to cause a lot of issues anyways globally. A lot of people, they pretend it won't. A lot of people that make videos about I think the word is expat, and they're just the diaspora and in the exodus and different stuff like that. They always say that they don't think that when the dollar falls, it's going to affect where they live, or it's going to affect some of the countries that they talk about. But I think that they're kind of just having cognitive dissonance when they say that. I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's places that may not be affected, but I think those will probably be places that really only rely on what they have in their own country. And I mean, I can't really think of too many places that really do that. Because it also means you have to have a lot of good farmland, you have to have a pretty good infrastructure. There's a lot of stuff with that. But anywho, to get back to the point before I go off on a rant, one of the things I've been thinking about is that as America falls and once Babylon is completely destroyed, I'd also assume that there's going to be new companies, for example, when I think about the Fortune 500 and just new companies being built in general to replace what everybody was relying on that was created in America. and especially when it comes to tech, mostly Palo Alto and Silicon Valley and stuff. I would think there'd be like something new that replaces Google and different things like that. And I mean, I don't know if it's all just like talk and like publicity stunts, but I mean, with some of the things that I've heard, it almost seems like ChatGPT is kind of like collapsing and they're going bankrupt. And I mean, of course, anytime Google sees anybody else doing something, they're like, okay, let's go do it too. Before like, we pretty much we have to like be in every market. We have to, I don't know how else to say it. So yeah, like Google, they have Gemini. I almost said Grok. Google has Gemini. Don't know what I was gonna say with that. And then another thing I think about, now of course everybody should already know that the Caucasian European fake J3W / serpent seed, the 13 bloodline families that rule the world. I mean, people always talk about how they own everything. But one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about the past few years, especially, I feel, since going to Cali, but even kind of before, because I remember like I was researching something and it claims that like at one point in time the lawyers and judges weren't all Freemasons, but after a while they were all, anybody who wasn't was replaced by one, or they were like scared into becoming one. So pretty much like some things didn't start off completely like on the dark side or sold out, I guess I could say. They eventually got that way, and it's like, it's also kind of like that when it comes to a lot of these companies. Like, some of these companies that people think about, they weren't like all created. I mean, honestly, most of them were created by J3Ws, but some of them were created by like lower level people, which I could kind of depend, because technically when it comes to quote unquote white Americans, I mean, unless they're like an immigrant, they technically are J3Ws. And a lot of them already know that. That's why they talk about the promised land stuff, and that's one of the sides to replacement theory, because it's all the same people. But it's a lot of stuff with that. I don't want to make it too confusing and go off on a rant, but I've been thinking about that a lot as well. But anywho, so I mean, pretty much like people think about the higher level J3Ws. Sometimes though, I think like a lot of people, they think about like Orthodox, like the ones in New York or something, but that's not, I mean, there's them, but that's never really what I'm talking about. I mean, since all they are is Caucasian Europeans, you wouldn't be able to tell them from any other ones. They're all quote unquote white. They're going to tell you that they're quote unquote white. But then there are some that like will actually say, pretty much there's some Caucasian people that'll say, yeah, I'm a J3W, and then there's plenty that don't identify with that. And that's the point I'm getting at with that. Because it's like, I mean, when I also think about another side, like there's the people that own these companies that you should know are J3Ws that typically admit it. Like I think about, I don't even know if I can say his name, Trumpet, Elion, the Moonchild, Elon, that's the book that Aleister Crowley had wrote, the Moonchild. I think it's in the Book of the Law. Either there's a book, I know they have it at like these bookstores like Barnes and Nobles. No, not Barnes and, I think it is there, but that's not, it was another one. They have like all those different occultic books. Anywho, who else? Obviously the Amazon do, like really all of them, but it's like some of them don't like just say I'm a J3W and some do. That's the point I'm getting at. And I don't even just mean elites, I mean even lower level people. Like, I mean, a lot of the good majority of the quote unquote white people in California, I mean, they're J3Ws. A lot of the ones in the South are actually. So anywho, it's like sometimes companies are made by regular people and bought out. That's the point I'm getting at, really. and then sometimes they're made by like lower level J3Ws, but then they may still get bought out. Like, I even think about this documentary I watched, or a couple I watched, but one specifically, I don't remember the name of it, but it's about, I think it was titled The Two Nigerian, I don't know if they were Nigerian, the two some country in Africa dudes that made Paystack, and it was eventually bought by Stripe. And I see that a lot, like, especially with melanated people that already are like held down due to the systematic racial agendas, especially against the original, the Aboriginal people of the planet, which would now be called the Negroid race. Certain ones are more than others, but anywho, the Negroid race, like, and even other groups that I guess would technically also be considered Negroid, but some of them can run under Mongoloid, that have been held down due to systematic racial stuff, due to being used to being like poor, or maybe even just like upper middle class or something like that. More so the ones that aren't from the US, I would say. Then like they just get bought out easily. That's the point I'm getting at before I go way somewhere else. They get bought out pretty easily, and so like when you offer them like a couple million, or maybe even more than that, probably not, to buy their company that could eventually make more than what you're offering them, and they get to like be the owners and actually keep it, they're like, oh yeah, that's a lot of money to get like all at one time, so yeah, I'll sell my company to you. That's a really common thing. And then I'm sure that like some people are forced and scared into like selling companies, because the higher-ups don't want lower level people, or pretty much people who aren't down with them boys. They don't want them to make a lot of money. Like, it seems that oftentimes people who aren't down with them boys, they typically at least can't get past being a net worth millionaire. That makes me think about something else actually that I could throw in right now. I also think about like these venture capital funds and these unicorn startups and stuff like that, and how you'll see the headlines on Forbes and other places that say, yeah, this 20-year-old kid became a millionaire and stuff like that. But it's like, I mean, the money that they were awarded that's made them, or quote unquote made them a millionaire, it's barely even really their money. It's just like, really, it's like having a record deal. Like, none of that stuff that they have belongs to them. The record companies can take it back. They're a slave and all that stuff. Because it's like when they get the unicorn funded money, the money has to go towards, not, I mean, obviously not all of it, but it's really for the company, and like to go towards the company, to make a long story short. That's also kind of like talk to shove down people's eyelids. But going back to the Fortune 500 thing, and just like the whole stock market having to be replaced. Oh yeah, and I think about something else with the app Robinhood. That's like a really clever name, because it's like the whole Robin Hood story, steal from the rich to give to the poor. Not sure if that's based on something that actually happened. I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like it is. Most of those like old folky, really all of them are about true stuff that typically isn't good, like Hansel and Gretel. But anywho, I just feel like that's a clever name due to the fact that like the stock market used to be only open to like people on Wall Street, a select few, but it's been made open to the public, and now like anybody could be like a shareholder, if that's the word, to like a company. Of course, it's a lot of like mind games behind it. Like, I mean, when they shut all of it down, then like you don't have your money anymore, which that actually reminds me of something else that I've been thinking about. I didn't even think about this. I'm going to throw this in here. So, a lot of people have known for years on end, especially since the 2010s, before a lot of the people that really started talking about this stuff got banished off the internet, that one of the things that's going to lead to the 2030 and a lot of the big agendas to really like release the beast system and different things that you'll see in like cartoons like Futurama, which is made by a Mason, the same one who made what's that show, The Simpsons, which also makes you think about Gravity Falls, because that's made by Striners, and also their J3Ws, the Swedish, Irish, and German branch of them. And so anywho, people know like there's gonna be a blackout type thing, and pretty much when like everything goes dark, that's like big talk, when everything gets shut down and you can't access the internet. And one of the things about that is that, I mean, of course it's true, but it's just like a perfect way to like do a great reset. Cause like I've also been researching like computer science, and I had got this book which I finished reading finally the other day, and it's pretty much like a basic fundamental. It's one of the big fat notebooks, something smartest kid in class, everything you need to know about computer science for like middle schoolers or whatever. And I was reading about the servers and the pretty much how servers work, like the big data centers. They didn't really mention that, but that's like what the data centers are. And so one of the things with like a blackout or everything going darker than faking the EMP or whatever from, I don't know, Russia or China, or even if it does actually happen, EMP from Russia or China or whatever, it's like once that happens, then they can make up a reason for like everybody's money to be wiped and everybody to lose this and lose that. Like that and the stock market crashing and people losing money from that, those two things together, of course a lot of people are going to end up like jumping off a skyscraper in Wall Street or whatever in the world. Not that that's funny, but like I just think about that a lot. Like that's the perfect way to really like reset everything and just say, whoops, the data centers broke, or the AI, we didn't have any more water for the AI to drink, something like that, or for the data centers to whatever in the world. I guess the AIs are drinking the water, but it really is like a cooling thing, because like the computers get so overheated they have to pour water in there and something with the fans and all that. They're really the AIs drinking the water. And I even remember like when they made that weird little prequel to the eventual Chucky series that they released, whatever Halloween that was, that weird Chucky series that, let me not go into that. So anywho, if anybody remembers, they had that movie, I don't even think it was called Chucky, but it wasn't a doll, it was a robot. And I was like, this is predictive programming when that came out. They even had like the autonomous driving vehicle. And one of the things that I think about with Chucky, in the whole I'll come back, I'll always come back. No, not that part. I didn't even mean to say that part actually. Well, I don't really know how to explain what I'm trying to say, but like, people think about the voodoo side, but what Chucky is really about, it's about the demon-possessed robots, pretty much, to make a long story short. Like, I even remember, I think it was in the Chucky series, that got really, really weird, to where it was like, because I remember my older neighbor sister and my two siblings, we had watched some of it before it got weird. And anywho, there was this one scene where like all the Chuckies, there was a lot of Chuckies. In fact, Chucky, he went to the warehouse to like possess all the other Chuckies and to get all the Chuckies to come together to try to take over. And you know, that's what Chucky is really about, when you leave like all the other side stuff out of it. And then I remember people were saying that the new Chucky was quote-unquote woke. I hate how the quote-unquote white liberals and the white people on the left and the right have like hijacked the word woke to flip it around 100% to make it mean exactly the opposite of what it always meant. But anyhow, they were saying it was woke, but I mean, if you want to be honest, there still was Glenn Glenda. I mean, they say it's woke because the Glenn Glenda thing was mentioned and Chucky was talking about he had a genderqueer son. But I mean, I guess technically, like, he looked like a dude, but I mean, I guess he kind of was a girl. But I guess that's how dolls are made. But it was always weird to me because, like, I had to watch Chucky every single day when I was a baby. Like, especially The Bride of Chucky. And I'm still trying to figure out how did they have kids. But I guess since it's fake, I don't know. I guess it's whatever. Because it's like, I don't know. It's like, that's really irrelevant, actually. But to get back to the point, where was I getting at? Crap, hold up. Okay, so, yeah, I forgot what I was getting at. I started having flashbacks of the Bride of Chucky scene. Well, like, I just remember, like, the part where what was her name? Like, Jennifer? Or no. I think the actor, the lady's name is Jennifer Tilly, but I think her name Stephanie? Was it? No, it was Tiffany. Yeah, when Tiffany was like, do you have rubber? And then Chucky was like, I'm all rubber. But yeah, I had to watch it every day from when I was a baby until I was like, I don't know what age. I know when I was in first grade, I wanted a Chucky doll, and I remember I told my teacher about it, and she was scared. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to go like off somewhere relevant because I'm really about to. But now I'm kind of mad though because I was really getting to a point. It even made me think about something I've mentioned before on some other channel that may have gotten banned, to be honest. When like Disney had released their own version of, it was supposed to be like the Goosebumps series. I know my older enabler sister, she liked that. And I know they have like a lot of books still. I think it's kind of like what was that dude's name? The Stephen King, but like it was supposed to be for kids. But anywho, to get to the point before I go away somewhere else again. I remember there was this one, I've been wanting to make a video about this actually, because it goes into the Cash for Kids system, the human cash cow systems, and TTIs. There was this one thing where they were pretty much brainwashing kids, and they were like in this TTI where like the quote-unquote bad kids go. Like one girl got sent there because it was actually kind of weird because she was pretty much in the whole carbon agenda, not carbonation, not that stuff, but like the whole thing with the carbon footprint, the go green, and it makes you think about that line from the whatever that lady's name is in Lego Batman 2, where like the green lady that turns into a giant, where she's like, it's time to go green. I think her name's Botanica actually. That character. I remember a lot of their lines by heart. I'm really going on like a neurodivergent info dump rant every 2 seconds, but that's every video pretty much. But anywho, so like, yeah, so anywho, she had like a lot of stickers and stuff about taking care of the planet, and so they got brainwashed, and it was a song that she played, a rock song that pretty much stood for rebellion, that would take the kids out of the brainwashing. Honestly, it was almost like some Get Out type stuff. But anywho, that series by Disney that was, it wasn't on the channel because I didn't watch the channel. It was on like something like Netflix, but I can't really remember. I don't even remember where I watched it at. But there was also this other episode where some kids got locked in the house by their tech home. It closed the doors, turned off the water, and all that stuff is predictive programming. That's the point I was getting at. So I may edit some stuff out, but probably not because it's kind of funny. But yeah, so I think about that, and I wonder like what nations are gonna make the next Fortune 500 companies, and who, or I guess it would be called something else. Maybe there will be no Fortune 500. Because, I mean, one of the things with the beast system is also, like, with more control happening, like, a few companies owning everything and ruling everything. But people always talk about Amazon and Google ruling the world, but that's really not how that's going to go, because Babylon is going to fall. So realistically, there's going to be maybe somebody, I don't know, maybe Africa's version of Google, or maybe the now called Middle East version of Google that'll run everything. But Babylon's version won't rule for too long, and if it does rule, I mean, it's going to rule the American people, but not much further than that, and at least if it does, not for too long. I forgot to mention that I've always felt like whenever apps claim that they're down or the app is down, they're just trying to remove something off of there that they don't want people to see, like maybe somebody was exposing some CSA imagery or really anything else that was on there. Maybe somebody posted something or shared something that they didn't want shared, so they will fake the servers going out randomly to try to remove a lot of stuff. This is going to be kind of irrelevant, but I like token intellect characters, I guess I could call them. So, like, I really want a Stewie plushie. I did have a Toadstool one, but I lost it, or I dropped it somewhere, so, like, now I need to replace that. But, anywho, like, my favorite token intellect characters is, definitely Lisa. Bart's honestly pretty smart, too. Bart is smart. He reminds me of, my younger brother. But, anywho, Lisa, Stewie, of course, Dipper from Gravity Falls. I have my Gravity Falls breakdown playlist that nobody wants to watch, but I literally, like, I have been anticipating making those videos my entire life, and, like, I finally, since my situation has calmed down, since escaping the Cash for Kids system and stuff, I finally had time to really sit down and make my documentaries, I guess I could say, and now it's like people are like, okay, whatever. And it's like, if nobody watched anything else I've ever made, I would want people to watch that. Anywho, who else? SpongeBob. I don't really know if he's a token intellect character, but I think that, like, I don't know, it's just something about, like, being wired differently and the different things that I pieced together with now called neurodivergence, being anointed or prophetic, what people also call a quote-unquote chosen one or empath. People that are going to be dragged into SPED, either side really, the lower or the higher side, which is Gate/AG, to maybe be dragged into becoming a super soldier, or just working for the government, or maybe they'll just, like, do what they do to a lot of people. They'll, like, use you a little bit, and then they'll be like, yeah, never mind. Or they'll drag you into Mensa. Don't join Mensa. I used to want to be in Mensa, but I'm not going to go into that. Anywho, but yeah, people that be dragged into Gate. And I think about the MPD, the multiple personality side as well, and different things like that. I still have my anointed prophetic racial autism BPD, which is borderline personality disorder, whatever else the title is, playlist, where I talk about some of those things. And I also go over similar things in my Gravity Falls breakdown playlist, because I know there I mentioned the whole intellect thing and the generational stuff, and how I've met a couple of European J3Ws personally, and I will always say that, like, they're really smart people. It's epigenetic, just like how a lot of people see Asian people or certain ones with epigenetic intelligence and stuff like that, and even Africans. And they're the only people that I've ever met that can, like, spend their whole life going through SR8, sex traf, and then escape, and then go get a PhD. And, like, a lot of the ones I've met personally, they've done that, and it's like, how? So, yeah. I'm missing somebody, though, because it was more than that. I think part of the issue is that I really don't watch TV, and so I can't really remember a lot of these people. I don't know.